This week's DRM Not Included on F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. You know you get free shipping with Prime, but you get a whole lot more. Free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games, and a free Twitch subscription with Amazon Prime Gaming, and of course, a lot more. We've got a 30-day free trial, links to these features and more, the ability to give it as a gift, and all of that can be found by going to f5live.tv/prime. Hello, Internet. Sorry for the interruption. I just want to let you know we're doing an audience survey to get to know you better, what you like, what you don't, what we might need to change. It's completely free. It takes about 60 seconds. If you go to PLUGHITZlive.com/audience and fill out the survey, you'll be entered for one of 2 CES prize packs with bags and shirts and a whole lot more. Again, it takes 60 seconds, PLUGHITZlive.com/audience. And now, back to the show. We talked about content a little while ago, just to keep everything on our toes tonight. We talked about Netflix under gaming. Now we're going to talk about YouTube. Something interesting happened this week. YouTube announced that they were releasing several thousand TV episodes and movies for free on YouTube. The end. An interesting move. We've seen other companies get into this, totally ad-supported, free licensed content space. Interestingly, some of the content is overlap, which is interesting. You've got Tubi, you've got IMDb TV, you've got Pluto TV, you've got the Roku channel. There's several of these.
Isn't there Shout as well, or Shout TV, something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's a number
Roku
of these
channel
out there. They all seem to take a similar tact. Free content, generally older licensed stuff, totally ad supported, and you get to watch. Hooray! The benefit, of course, of YouTube is that you're probably already there. If you're like most of us, you're already on YouTube, so that helps. I don't know exactly what they're up to here. It would seem like maybe they're trying to get people to stay on the site longer, on the platform longer. I don't know. Perhaps they're trying to experiment with, combating the subscription fatigue that we talk about a lot, which we've already talked about once tonight. I don't know. It's interesting. I know Avram and I were both looking through the content before the show.
Yeah, there's
some interesting
to comb
stuff
through. It's not easy to find, I have to say, because it's easy to find, to browse, but I don't see like a dedicated search for it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It doesn't seem like you can do a dedicated search of just the free movies.
Yeah.
So, and it's just the only thing I see is browse. So it's like you don't really have a easy way to just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like look for the horror movies on here or whatever.
So if you're watching or listening and you want to follow along, if you go to YouTube, either on the app or the website, on the main menu, if you scroll down below your subscriptions, you will see the YouTube Premium link and then the movies and shows. If you go to that, then you'll see there is a row for free to watch movies and one for free to watch shows. So that's how you can follow along with us. Anyway, continue.
Right. So I'm looking through. So I looked through this, and actually I got to the bottom. So I actually, yeah. How many is that? Let's see. I can do this. So 360. What I'm seeing right now is exactly 360 movies on here that are listed on the browsable. So
because you search for free with ads.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did to count. I did not sit here and count them all.
Oh, that's funny. Because that was my first thought. I'm like, ooh, you could search for free with ads.
Yeah. Well, no. I went to the browse thing, and then like on the browse page, I just did a control F.
Control F
that page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to scroll a long way to get it all to load. But so, look, there's a few decent things on here. There's Weird Al's UHF movie, if you haven't
Really?
seen it. Yes. Uh,
Okay.
Robin Hood Men in Tights, but not any of the other Mel Brooks movies uh, that, in my opinion, are better. Uh, and then there's just like a lot of movies on here that are like you would find in like the $3 DVD bin at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, just things that like we used to call straight to tape movies.
Yeah.
Like
The
some movie
Slammin'
with Bruce
Salmon.
Willis. You know, Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad in some kind of action movie. Oh, Sniper Special Ops, a Steven Seagal movie. There you
Oh.
go.
Well, I mean, that one was straight to the bin. Anyway.
Yes. Yes. But you also find here some things. I'd never heard of a movie called Legally Blondes. Uh
Right? I saw that one. I'm like, oh, that's one that I wasn't aware of. There are several
yes.
Godzilla movies on here.
Now that I will say folks should consider. They have
Like,
Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
oh, really? I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
I'm seeing
See, that's the
Godzilla
thing. You can't really
versus
say.
Hedorah, Godzilla versus Gigan.
So there's 5 movies with Godzilla in the title. Godzilla versus Gigan, another great one. Gigan is the best. Uh, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which you should not watch because that is the American first Godzilla, which has Raymond Burr like photoshopped into it, basically. But there's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, Godzilla versus Gigan, which is a great one. Godzilla versus Hedorah, which is kind of weird because that's a smog monster. Um, but here's the thing, right? Uh, yeah, it seems that that's all they got out of their 360 movies. But this calls attention to what you said before. Tubi, IMDb TV, um, was it, I think, Shout TV. Oh, and something I discovered in the last 2 weeks, which perhaps you already knew. If you have a Roku box, or like me now, a Roku TV, there is an
The Roku
app called
channel.
Live TV.
Oh, yeah.
Is that There's an app called
The
Live TV.
live TV. It's going to be in I almost talked about this. The new Roku 11 OS is going to make it like front and center too.
It is front and center on my TCL TV,
Okay.
which I just got like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And if we just discovered it, although we just discovered it like 2 months ago, because I thought live TV meant it was just going to go to the antenna, right? Why is your face frozen? Did you see something interesting?
Cuz I wanted to see what the Godzilla offerings were on Tubi.
Yeah,
I know we're
there's a
talking
lot.
about YouTube, but ooh.
Right. See, so I guess here's a public service announcement to our audience. Like, there's a lot of free streaming stuff on there, and if there's a movie that you want to see that's not a brand spanking new movie, there's a decent chance, or a show, there's a decent chance that it may be on one of these free platforms.
Yeah.
So, uh, like, I really got into like a couple of years ago. No, no shame here in what we like to watch. I really got into watching both seasons of Space 1999, and like that, it was free on Tubi, and I think is it Shout or whatever. You could watch, at least at the time, every episode for free. So like, there's a lot of stuff that you can watch for free. So I recommend to folks, like, before you go and try and rent something, particularly if you're like me and you have kids and you want to show them something, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, saw that movie when I was a kid. Let me see. Now, I also have lots of paid streaming channels and I check all of those too. Every now and again, it happens that there's like a movie that I really want to show my son or whatever, and it's an older movie and we have to pay like $3 to rent it off of Prime Video. And I always feels like a defeat because it's like there ought to, I'm sure there's some place I can watch this for free. So anyway,
Not the
yeah,
top,
this is
not the topic
okay.
at, not the topic at hand, but Tubi has a bunch of the riff track stuff on it.
Yeah. But relevant to the topic at hand is that YouTube is actually not very competitive here. It only has 360 titles. So
Right.
compared to IMDb TV or Tubi, this is a very paltry offering. And I bet if somebody were to bother, they would probably find all of these movies somewhere else for free.
Yeah, that
Because
was what I was doing when I came over to Tubi. Was I wanted to start comparing down the list and see if there were any items that were unique to YouTube. And then I was surprised by how many Godzilla movies were on Tubi. And then the very bottom thing was, I don't know why, was the riff tracks of Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny, and that took me down a whole different
so
path.
so this is an interesting. This poses to me just one quick interesting question. Do you think that this is happening because the cost of licensing the content has gotten cheaper to the point where it makes sense for these companies to do a free service because they're getting the content so cheaply? Maybe the licensors, the actual publishers, the studios or whatever, are maybe they're just willing to take a cut of ads. Maybe they don't actually have to pay out up front.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder if it's done on consignment.
Yeah. I mean, then they really have nothing to lose.
Right.
Whereas, Netflix or who or spending $100 million on Friends, right? Like they, like they don't know whether that $100 million that they spend on that actually results in any revenue whatsoever.
Right.
Like,
Because
would
the
people have
numbers are hard to
unsubscribed from?
explain.
I mean, if somebody watched something on Netflix, how do you know they would have unsubscribed if it wasn't there?
Exactly.
But here, like, if I watch, grumpy old men and they make a penny on it. I mean, one thing that we've learned, I think, from Spotify is how
That's what I was just thinking.
content can become so cheap. Like stuff that we think of as like expensive stuff, like valuable expensive stuff, like we used to pay $15 for that album or whatever. We keep hearing about all of these like major artists that are on Spotify and are really upset because they're getting like a really lame check every month from Spotify. So like the value of music has gone down. Maybe the value of movies has too.
Certainly for older, licensed stuff, or small budget projects like riff tracks, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps the idea of doing it on consignment, or a share of the ad revenue, makes sense for everybody involved because what have they got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, if Weird Al gets like a dime from people watching, a dime a month from people watching UHF on here, it's a dime he didn't have.
One of the things they're going to need to deal with if they want this to really take off is the idea of only having one movie in the middle of a series. For example, I see
You see,
they only have the third Inuyasha movie.
right? You see, because it's probably the one that they
Nobody
didn't,
cares to license.
that nobody cares to license. I'm sure. As a consumer, you're probably looking at this like, where's the logic to this list? Like, oh, I'm sure these are movies that have been identified as not making any money right now for the
Right.
studio.
Right.
And they're like,
Like
okay,
Hackers. When was the last time Hackers generated any money anywhere other than maybe on TBS?
Right. Oh, what a horrible movie. But
One of my
but
all-time favorites because of how bad it is.
sorry, sorry. It's but yeah.
No, it's
But
because of how bad it is. Look, I'm hacking.
yes. I
I'm
mean, there
spinning
have
in.
been others, but
I'm spinning in circles in a phone booth. That must mean that I'm hacking.
yeah, I don't know. I saw that when it was in the theater, and man, I did not like it. But anyway, yeah. So there's a handful of things on here. It obviously means that there's just yet another spot in the cheap, free content space.
Mm-hmm.
Good, but I don't think it's very competitive. It's a very competitive offering right now. But hey,
Not
if you
today.
find a one movie that you're interested in watching and you spend an hour, 2 hours watching it, then it was worth your time.
Yeah, then it was massively competitive for you.
Right.
So fantastic. If
Yep.
this is the place where the one weird thing is that you want to watch, awesome. So,
Yeah.
but we're seeing more and more of this. Even the paid services, we're seeing ad supported stuff. Disney Plus has an ad supported tier coming soon. Hulu obviously has always had it. They started entirely this model. They started free with ad support, but that wasn't long term viable. But we're seeing more and more of this. We named a couple. You introduced me to one that I wasn't aware of already tonight. It's you never know what strange thing or where you might find stuff. I
Yeah.
really like the idea of putting together a roundup of the services that we use. I also want to see if I can find the same ish movie across multiple platforms and do a comparison of how many ads you see, how laden it is with ads.
Google's yeah, if you do that though, make sure you do it on both mobile and desktop
Yeah,
because
true.
it's possible that it will be different.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I want to do a big comparison of the free services and see what comes out of it because, like we said, there's a lot of content that you can find out there for free on some of these services you may not have known existed. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course, hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.